We did it. We're back. Happy Christmas Eve, all you people that love Christmas, and happy. It's Hanukkah Eve too, I do believe. So happy Hanukkah Eve. I don't think that they say Hanukkah Eve, but
I don't know, dude. It's
pretty sure
nope.
Hanukkah starts right as Christmas is happening, and you're gonna get 8 crazy days and nights. You get to party from sun up to sundown.
How funny is it is that like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, we know more about Hanukkah than we should strictly because of Adam Sandler. you
Yeah.
know?
Yep. Guys like us. I mean, I didn't grow up in the area that multiple areas that I lived as a kid. I didn't know anybody that celebrated Hanukkah, so I really knew nothing about it. Everybody in my area, my friends, my family, everybody was Christmas, so that's all I knew.
I just thought of this. This has probably been thought of before, probably when it first came out. But like, how do I word this to where it's not offensive, but it's funny still? Anyways, imagine this was World War II, Nazi Germany, and then this song comes out, and this guy just outs every Jew that you didn't know was a Jew.
Oh, and then they mm-hmm. And
instead of
Schindler's List,
it's
Adam
Sandler's
Sandler
List.
just created Sandler's List. Yep,
that's name of the episode.
Write that down. Man, that's the second greatest idea. When we were recording, spoiler alert, on the Thursday show, we came up with an idea for a potential invention because Euban was going off that somebody that he knew, after they peed, they wipe themselves, the dude, and instead of they wipe it instead of shaking it or whatever. Must have really taken to heart, like, shake it 3 times, you're playing with it. So we were like, well, maybe we come up with an invention. Maybe there's more people like that, and we just have little mini toilet paper squares with a mini dispenser that people put on urinals with, like, because they have the feminine little trash cans. You just have a little trash can, you wipe, bloop. Maybe that's
like
$1 million
the size of
idea.
an alcohol swab.
Yeah, just not an alcohol swab, because that wouldn't feel good. But that's how we become millionaires.
Hold on.
If they had those there, would you use them?
I can't sneeze. It hurts.
Oh, I was wondering what you were going. I was hoping it wasn't a stroke.
No. If I have a stroke, let it happen. Get it on film. Make sure you
did
got
you
it on
see
film.
the light? I saw the light.
Yes, we saw it all, dude. The whole aspect of the show changes. Would I use one? Yeah, probably. Now, the smart move would be to make them like sponge yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Reusable, dude.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I would do the reusable.
Or reusable toilet paper, where you just kind of rip around the smear and you got a bunch of extra on the side. You know how much toilet paper goes to waste every year?
Not as much in my place because I'm a bidet guy, just like you. Virtual bidet high five. Anyways, we could probably go on a side tangent about peeing and pooping, but we got more important things that we want to talk about because, again, we've kind of shifted the show a little bit. Thanks to the 30s and 40s, there's probably some cool people that were, made and birthed during those times. Maybe they're around, maybe they're not. They were getting pretty old, but we just didn't want to time travel to them. There was a lot of cool years, and turns out Burley and myself have a real big passion about some conspiracy things. And in the world, there's some crazy things going on with some drones, it turns out. So then we were like, is there potentially a surprising past of drones, or is this new? And I feel like we're going to talk about it. But maybe we started off with what do we think is happening with the drones right now? We hinted at it, and we kind of, in our eyes, we're talking about why we thought that the drones were happening with, and Burley was like, it's the radioactive stuff. And we could have been the first if we posted it on the Sunday, potentially, to come up with that theory. And then it started to be talked about highly on a lot of other shows.
Do you remember how mad I was when I texted you? I was like, dog.
And I was listening. What was the guy's name that I sent you? Adam Graves, I believe, on the Joe Rogan podcast. Yes. He was a
Ryan
fighter.
Ryan
Graves. Sorry, I think Adam Graves is a hockey player. Ryan Graves, and retired fighter pilot, has trained some people. He knows some stuff, and he has very good connections within the world, and quickly shot down the missing nuke radioactive theory, based primarily because there's people that have roles, they have jobs just to do this said job. If there is something missing, there is potential radioactive stuff within, especially our borders, there's special teams, equipment, they would be working. And apparently none of these people are working. And then another guy was saying that it would be very hard to pick up these, markers, these signatures, whatever it might be with the radioactive stuff from the air. You kind of have to have boots on the ground and special equipment for it. So I think that's pretty good. And Rogan kind of said it best, and this isn't a quote because I don't know how he said it, but I'm summarizing more or less like the only thing that I would really be concerned, and I think why a lot of people concerned, and I know I am, like mass destruction, something like a nuke or something like that's going to cause some fear and some panic, and that would be the thing. But then he's like, what else could it be then? Like, and I mean, I don't know if you have any other theories that haven't been discussed or thoughts on this, but I don't know.
I gotta preface all this by saying I did go and listen to this episode that you told me about
Mm-hmm.
of the Joseph Rogan podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and I had partaken in some extracurricular things. And a lot of people say, that stuff will cause paranoia. It's never happened to me though, so I just thought it was all rubbish. Well, my flabber was definitely gasted last night. I was a bit paranoid and had to turn it off after about 45 minutes.
Oh, is that about how far you got? 45 minutes?
No, I finished it.
Oh.
But this morning I had to get up and do it with a clean mind. I woke up at 7 a.m. to freaking messed up.
No, it's good. So let me ask you this: what was the paranoia? What really triggered it? Was it the extra activity thing, or I mean, that's just a gateway to really open the brain. Like, what got you?
The thought that it's a bipartisan cover up.
Mm-hmm.
Neither side is saying what it is. That means they're working together to keep it a secret.
Yeah, and for those that didn't, mostly what they're saying is, could it be? They're not saying it is, but could it be desensitizing us to the fact that something bigger is happening or going to happen?
Well, I mean, that's essentially what Operation Bluebeam is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Operation Bluebeam is the quickest summary I can think of is to fake a invasion of sorts from an outside source, an outside, aliens essentially, and us as Earthlings defeat them. The governments are like, yes, we did this, and then they establish more power, more control, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
One
thing that really made me kind of not worry, but really start to think into some stuff was how China and countries like that, where they're investing from their government billions of dollars into technology research, not only into said drones potentially, but other things where, our government isn't really always transparent, and maybe we're investing in it, but we don't really know. Like, what happens if somebody else is way ahead of us in something like this? Like, that wouldn't be good. But the thing that really, which I think maybe a future episode, if I can remember, write this down, was the physics thing. Remember how they said that they took the world's best physicists and they've all of a sudden been disappearing and working on something probably very, very secret for the last 20 years? Did they maybe figure it out? Maybe was some of this stuff gravitation type things, invisibility things, maybe some stuff that we talked about with the Philadelphia experiment last week?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Okay. So if we're going to do this correctly, though, I think we got to give a basic rundown of the history of drones.
Yeah. Okay. Let's reel it in. Let's go with the basics. Hit us up. What we got?
So I jotted down some notes this morning from a different podcast. I should have wrote their name down, but they were French, so I had to do some deciphering of some accents.
Ooh, but, and Google Translation. I love French fries. I love French bread. I love French roast coffee. So shout out to the French podcast.
It's funny, off topic slightly, but you don't really think about like France and like being like top dogs in war and stuff. But back in the day, kind of were. They were a warring country. Isn't that where old Napoleon?
I believe so.
Is from croissants.
Oh, friend! Oh, I do love a chocolate croissant.
Okay, so there was in 1848 is what I know to be the first use of drones.
Let's back it up real quick. Maybe people aren't really know what a drone is. So, which is kind of crazy, but the official records, modern drones technology is, and you might hear us reference UAV is
Uh-huh.
a term that which there was is an unmanned aerial vehicle, and so and then just maybe they didn't know that. So I just want to throw that little bit of a tidbit. If you start hearing UAV, it's also drones.
Why are they
Same
called
thing.
drones?
That's a good question.
Because of the worker bees being controlled by the queen.
Drone bees. Bam. And it wasn't, and maybe the government was trying to use bees. But okay, yes. So then you got the 1800s.
Yeah, 1848 to darn pop up. 1849. So August of 1848 to August of 1849 for a year was the siege of Venice by the Austrians, just going after the rebellious city of Venice, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they figured out, hey, if we fill these balloons up, get them floating, and then there's just a ton of shrapnel attached to these things, they'll pop over the city and just mess them up from above, right?
Mm-hmm.
Solid idea. Like, it worked okay. Now, the wind kind of did take some of these balloons back towards themselves or back into
Yeah.
Austria, where they were basically bombing their own people. But it worked out enough to where it was remembered in history as like the first, unmanned flying vehicle, right? Or UAV. Was it unmanned what?
Unmanned aerial vehicles.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yep.
And then we get to the Kettering bug. You know about the Kettering bug?
I don't.
Kettering bug was it looks like an airplane date. It looks kind of cool. It has its own Wikipedia. Kettering bug. Built in
Thank you
Dayton,
for at least
Ohio.
knowing that I can spell bug.
Actually, it was one of the Wright brothers were consultants on this project.
Interesting.
Yeah. Feel like we've seen something like that before, right? But
I do believe.
it was essentially an early version of a cruise missile. Could travel about 75 miles from its launch point, and would travel about 50 miles an hour. Test flights were good. Never made it to war. It wasn't very accurate. like,
I could imagine.
it wasn't great. But you can. But sorry, I'm skipping all over.
No, you're good.
From 1917, April of 1917 to March 1920, the U.S. government spent $275,000 on the Kettering bug. You want to do a little quick math on what that is in 2024?
Yeah. What was it? 19.
3.1 million.
Ooh, that was quick math. I thought you were asking
Yeah.
me to do it, and I was
No,
like,
no,
I'm
no,
going to
no, no,
throw
no.
out a number.
No, it was 3.1 million. It kind of tied into what we used to do. So,
Yep.
275 million from 1917. So in 3 years, they spent 275,000. Sorry, and then that's the equivalent of 3.1 million. So that lets you know that, hey, maybe they didn't quite believe in this, but they put a little bit of money in it.
It's some money, but it's not like game-changing money at the time for our government. And they're saying like even farther back though, potentially like ancient Egypt and what are they, the Mesopotamians?
Mesopotamians?
Yeah, that they might have even experimented
Really?
with early concepts of flight using, again, wind powered or even kind of like rudimentary mechanical devices. I mean, again, this is, researchers, whether they're archaeologists and people from drawings on caves that they see or potential remnants of stuff that they've dug up. Again, there's no way to prove 100% solidified like this was happened. But then you got to think even using pigeons and stuff like that in times like they were able to do stuff like that, and then like getting concept from messaging pigeons, developing ideas and stuff that they're kind of saying like, hey, we were using these birds for stuff, and then they started using the technology and the research. How do we do the wings? How do we get this? getting to the UAVs.
Surely somebody tried something like that. Now I'm thinking like, okay, do you remember? God damn, these people are just slamming doors today.
It's okay.
You remember that whole conversation they had in Monty Python and the Holy Grail about like how many African swallows would it take to carry a coconut? Remember
hmm
that?
hmm
So I wonder if they had messenger pigeons. I'm not quite sure of the science on that and how that even worked. How do you train a pigeon to go whatever? But we should probably do an episode on that. um,
Yeah,
but
and we'll bring in the. But I think there's still people. Technically, didn't we look this up one time?
I feel
That
like
there's still people that are paid by the government to train pigeons in case, like, it's a backup plan or something.
I would not doubt that at all.
Yeah,
But surely they've tried to fill up little light bombs, and they'll know about how long it's going to take, and if it explodes above the enemies, it'll rain down something on. I don't know.
something. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, back to this Kettering bug. The reason the reason they never use it is when it would take off, it would go basically straight up, and it was a bit unreliable whenever flying over the Allied troops, like on its way to the enemy. So yeah, luckily, I mean, they never did it. You can go see one of these in Dayton, Ohio. Next time you're in Dayton, Ohio.
That's going to be a never for this guy, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go in Ohio.
What's even crazier too is in history, and this is stuff that's out there that we could probably look up that I probably should have, as I was saying there. But Da Vinci was even sketching things in the 15th century that included designs and potential things for flying machines. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Didn't he have almost like a? Now this is a mixture of things I've seen in history books and movies, and possibly cartoons. Didn't he have? Didn't he have something that had like basically a pedal power flapping machine or something like that?
let's see here. I'm gonna try to pull up what he had. Yeah, he had this. It was I think people deem it as or call it the aerial screw, which is one of the early concepts of a UAV. So let's pull this up here. This is the actual sketch from the Wikipedia on an early potential concept of
And who is this?
Da Vinci. Leonardo.
Okay, surely somebody has created that. Whoa. What was that top
sorry,
one?
it got real zoomed in. I was trying to get over to
No,
this.
I like that. Go to the top one. Go to the top sketch. The top sketch. That looks awful. UFO.
Kind of looks like a little flying saucer. Was it something he's seen? Was it something that was developed? I mean, these are...
Somebody's built that for sure.
Oh, 100% somebody had to at one point. I mean, like I said, this was potentially... Was it something that he had in his brain? Was it something he, was working on a concept for somebody? It's all pretty interesting stuff. And that's why we're here. And this was a page of Paris's, to tie back to France, manuscript B, folio 83V, and it was the depiction of Leonardo's aerial screw. And this is actually held by the Institut de France.
They
same
say
document.
that he was crazy autistic.
I mean,
yeah, they say that he was not a normal fella. Like we like the idea of being able to go back and like talk to these people. I think we'd have a hard time talking to some of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Even language barrier be damned. I think that even if we spoke the same language, we would have a hard time wanting to be around some of these people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this was just one of several. I mean, there was all sorts of Da Vinci drawings that included like the early concept of a parachute, an early concept of hand gliders, all sorts of things, humans, flying, technology.
What did he do that was like his main thing?
Da Vinci, he was an artist, wasn't he?
That's what I'm asking. I don't know.
Maybe not. I know he did artwork.
He didn't do the Sistine Chapel, did he? Or was that Michelangelo?
They're all Ninja Turtles. I'm not.
Yeah, it's one of the turtles, dude.
He was an Italian polymath of the High Renaissance who was active as a painter, a draftsman, engineer, scientist, theorist, sculptor, and architect.
You don't have that now. That doesn't exist now. You pick one of those and move along.
Stay in the lane. Yep.
You could just call yourself whatever you wanted back then, dude.
Mhm.
Oh man, I would have ruled back then, dude.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
you have to
but
do is
yeah,
be a good arguer, and you were a philosopher. You
it's
know?
true.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
And you
A
got to
lot
be
of
okay wearing a dress in public, if you know what I mean.
he did have a sweet beard too. So
I have a show on my library called Da Vinci's Demons. I should probably watch that.
mhm.
Anywho,
And there's something
um,
the Da Vinci Code, that was a thing, right? Was
yeah,
the same
there's a
guy?
lot of yeah. I don't trust Tom Hanks, dude. I'll be honest with you. There's not a lot of Toms I trust, other than MySpace Tom, Tom
Oh yeah.
Hanks, Tom Cruise. They're all weird.
Mhm.
Um,
What about Tom
okay.
Arnold?
Tom Arnold's cool. He gets a pass, dude. He banged Roseanne.
Free pass.
Yeah, dude. Okay. So I got to get through these known things that are for sure. We got the
Yeah.
British drones.
Mhm.
They came out of radio controlled missiles, right? That's what they would call them.
Mhm.
Um, they had the power of a Mini Cooper and the wingspan of a bald eagle. These things changed the game. The British, the British figured out how to fly those Mini Coopers. And the wingspan of a bald eagle. And then they developed the BQ-7 airplane. It's a
Oh.
very smart idea. They just took decommissioned big bombers,
Mhm.
loaded them up with explosives, and then just flew them into the enemies. Problem is, they sucked. They weren't super accurate, so they would just overshoot the enemies. There was one that was supposed to take out an ultra mega fortress of the Nazis. They just missed it totally.
And those were
Um,
radio controlled, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's got to be a tough technology to control through radio. I would imagine. I don't know
Well,
the
that it
technology,
was
but
weather stuff would make it mess up.
mhm.
They would lose them. They would lose these gigantic warships over over bad weather. Do you have a picture of the BQ-7? I only heard about
Uh,
it. I haven't seen them.
so I was looking up, and there's a couple of them, but a lot of it's tougher because there's a lot of Boeing BQ-7s that are air. Is that what we're looking at?
They should just be a decommissioned like B-57. Uh,
Because I mean I
that they just
obviously
loaded up.
I'll show you what I'm looking up on the Googles here. So we're learning together. You got a lot of these.
Yeah, it
There's
should look
a lot of the
something
Boeing.
like that.
Yeah, a lot of the Boeing BQ-7s kind of takes over, and then a lot of the which is kind of interesting when you're looking up just the BQ-7s. There's a lot of documents, but little known pictures of the.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, look at like right here. I mean, you got the BQ-7 by Joe. You got all of this information, no pictures. So
But that's a
there's
flying fortress.
where's
The
that?
bottom.
Yep,
Whoa.
the Flying Fortress and Doubleday Edward Jablonski, the famous bombers of the Second World. These are all references of where all of this guy got his information. So there's a lot of flying for.
Operation Aphrodite's B-17 smart bomb. The very last one. That's what you need to
Yep.
look up. Operation Aphrodite. You heard of this before?
Mm-mm.
So it's a top secret U.S. military operation during World War II that involved using modified bombers as guided missiles. The goal was to target heavily fortified German positions, including the V weapons, V1 and V2 rockets, launch site, and submarine pens, which are resistant to conventional bombing.
Mm.
So Operation Aphrodite is pretty cool, but this
Mm-hmm.
bomber wasn't the best.
Yeah, no, like you said,
The radio
rudimentary
controlled
form.
flying bomb. That is such a scary sentence, dude.
It was essentially a dumb bomb with limited guidance capabilities due to its radio control system. The dumb bomb.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
like I said, it was supposed to take down these fortresses, right? Heavily fortified German fortresses. And a couple clouds made you just miss your target totally. Imagine being those Germans in that fortress just watching the just bypass you like, whew.
Well, it says right here too, the bomb load carried on combat missions could be 2,000 pound demolition bombs, 1,000 pounds Where did it go? Right here. Let me show this. No wonder why this was made to take down a fortress. The bomb load. Two 2,000-pound demolition
Cool.
bombs, six 1,000 demolition bombs, 12 500, 16 300, 12 500, 16 250-pound British bombs, 40 to 42 100-pound, 24 fragment bombs, 16 250-pound fragmentation bombs.
I wonder if all of that even equals a single atom bomb.
Yeah, doubt it.
I don't
Doubt
listen, dude. We're not scientists.
We're not scientists. We're just here because one, the drone thing really put some questions into our brains, and if it did there, and we're just like, where else? Why else? And then let's go with the Foo Fighters in World War II, not the band. They were, pilots from both the Allied and the Axis forces reported mystery kind of glowing objects all the way back then in World War II. And like we've talked about,
Hold on, the
potential.
Foo Fighters are real?
Yeah, Foo
No,
Fighters were
wow.
from World War II.
Never knew that.
I'm sure that by the time that the band formed, it was public domain, so they were like, we can beat a Foo Fighters. And I mean, they looked like remember the Foo Fighters album that had the little jet and whatever on it?
No.
Oh well,
I didn't get into them till later.
Yeah, but yeah.
Times like these.
But they that there was glowing objects that were following aircrafts and stuff like that, and
what did they say to them back then? Like whenever they would bring this up to their superiors?
I think it's the same thing as it was all the way until recently. Like, just don't talk about it. Like, what are you talking? One, they might think you're crazy. That might be some PTSD, and maybe they just couldn't say anything because it's unexplained things, and they were trying to say, the reason you're seeing, and this was before cameras and stuff, you're just seeing it because you're up in the air, you're in wartime, there's atmospheric phenomenons that just happen. There was all sorts of
people say that same thing about chemtrails, and I don't know where I stand on that.
Yeah, but it's like, were they early drones? Were they developed by somebody else? Could it be something out of this world? I mean, maybe to build future episodes, or maybe that. I mean, there's a lot of theories, a lot of potential evidence where people think we're just living in the ruins of a much greater civilization that had came and gone. And if you're looking at what they were able to do, let's just an easy one. Top, one that's the pyramids, the Great Sphinx, all of this stuff. They were developed. We'll get into that as some other episode, but it's like, if we're just living in the ruins of it and they're able to do that stuff, how do you think that they don't have unarmed aerial vehicles? I mean, if they're able to do what they did, build what they build, and we're just led to believe, like, during the same time that they're building huge churches, huge government buildings throughout the world, and we're supposed to believe that we were just cowboys trying to do the Oregon Trail? Like, what the hell happened? How did we go from this to this? What are we believing here? Why was it like this? I'm telling you, there was early drones. There was other technology we don't know about. And explain. How do you explain that? In those same, other old worlds, there's drawings of stuff in the air. There's something that's unmanned that's been flying around here forever.
I could definitely see us being in the third or fourth version of civilization in this country.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense. But
yeah. That's a different thing. But then, and obviously everybody's heard of this. You've heard of Tesla, and everybody's heard of Nikola Tesla, right? And he claimed, of course, probably another crazy person. If we were to try to have a conversation with him, we probably wouldn't overly get it. But he claimed to develop a remote-controlled flying torpedo, and this was in the late 1800s. I know officially his plans were never built, but the FBI took his work.
Really?
Yep. Upon his death, the FBI confiscated his work. Was it a coincidence? Or maybe did the U.S. government then take his research, secretly pioneer drone technology decades before they admitted it? Do you think the government would lie to us potentially?
Oh, 100%. They are in the business of lying to us. This is nuts. I'm reading about Tesla's wireless torpedo.
Yeah.
And there's a story about it in the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
from 1907.
Yeah.
But that means they found out about it late.
Yeah, this was, I mean, this was late 1800s that his whole stuff was, and it's there's something to. I mean, the flying machine, the flying car.
Dude,
He had
1907. 1907, there isn't even a car yet.
no, was there, or do we not know about it?
Hey,
There wasn't
is
anything
the
mass
Model
produced.
T the first car? Or is it the first production car?
I think it was the first production car, wasn't it?
I mean, I feel like
The Benz something motor wagon or whatever it
so,
was 1850s, 1880s.
Mercedes Benz was numero uno.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Model T, whether it was the first mass produced or maybe just what our history has told us. And this is, man, I feel like there's just so much shit that we learned in history class that just isn't the
It's all
right
horse
thing.
shit. Yeah.
Whether it's horseshit, whether they're why are, and it probably differs from, obviously we grew up and live in different states. Like I bet you what I'm learning in New York is a lot different
Oh,
than
and
what
I
you're
went to a
learning
private school.
elsewhere.
Everything I had had a Jesus spin to it, dude.
Yeah,
Evolution's
that's.
a lie.
But you know what?
I ain't no dang monkey. That's what they would say.
but they're having to pound this in our brain. Pound it. Why? Why are we learning this? And I think there's
Dude,
more.
we're taught this day in and day. The news is essentially what the teacher is pounding crap into our brains, right?
Mm-hmm.
These people that watch the news every day, and we are trained to do that almost, right? Like, why do
Mm-hmm.
we always want to know the news? Before the radio, you got a newspaper. Before the newspaper, you had nobody could read. You get the town crier. So the town crier was essentially Tom Brokaw, and he could put whatever spin he wanted to on it. I mean, the town crier could essentially affect elections and shit like that, right?
Yeah. Before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a sweet job. How do you get that job? Just know how to read? Just have a
I
loud
mean.
voice and know how to read?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're the B man here, you just, I know we're getting off topic, but you get loud and make up your own story along the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. And Prince George said, I rule.
And what's crazy though is there's gonna, I think, be a lot of ties. We've talked about the French, the Austria. You know what I mean? We've talked about them, and they had some things going on. I mean, Tesla, he was raised in the Austrian Empire. You know what I mean? They had some things going on. There was even potential ties that the old H man from Germany ended up being hidden and was in Austria for quite some time as
I
well.
believe
The
that.
Greek had some technology and some stuff. Greek, French, there's a lot of things in this world that we're not supposed to probably know about that is
Well,
or was going on. And it kind of brings us back to what is this technology today? You know what I mean? Like I said, is it the fake panic? Is there a technology that's finally coming to form and they're just kind of in on that same show? I think we talked about it a little bit, but haven't today was this is going all over the news. Is this is happening in Jersey. This is happening in Jersey. This is the third straight year, 3 years that this has been happening in the same location. Three
I didn't
years.
look that up. Did you look that up? I meant to look it up.
The reason I didn't is because if it's on old JR's podcast and Jamie is behind the scenes doing some stuff, they are going to call it out and be like, no, this didn't happen. And this guy Graves isn't going to just throw it out there, but I mean, we could probably easily throw into that. But I mean, that is crazy in itself. That is the third straight year. Why is this year the bigger year of it? Political season, whatever. The voting's
Yeah.
already done. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to tie this into a president. Right? It's done. And it's always right around November to December, holiday time. Is something happening? Are these out to divert? I guess is the question. Like to kind of get us looking elsewhere, or is this some kind of technology that's actually helping us in some way? Or maybe is it because some other technology is coming over, busy time of the year with the holidays and Christmas, especially in the world with digital, and they're coming over and just stealing all of our information.
What do they have to gain? What do they get from us?
That's what I'm.
Whoever they is.
Is it data? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
Could they
what
could they be sniping all of our, electronic stuff with the shopping and the technology and the
Yeah,
busiest time of
but
the year
what
in some areas in New York City is pretty big, pretty busy.
I feel like all data is basically for sale, right? They wouldn't have to go
Mm-hmm.
through all this trouble of robots and shit
True.
if they could probably just buy our data. What's the end game? I want to know the end game. Listen, we're all our me, you, our cousins, everybody we know. Our data is out there. Somebody has our data. You know, it's
Yeah. I
gone.
mean, they have found boxes that are hardwired into places of, big. I think they hinted on it, races, and you know what I mean. Like then an F1 race or something, they found a device and it was there. The middleman, like all that attack. I get it. I just pulled up this article from New Jersey 101.5, and this article said it's actually the fifth year that has been
Really?
happening over here. I'm trying to find the part of the article because when I went there, it says so for a fifth year in a row that these drones are there. Are they being blown out of proportions? This and that. It's a lot. And it's always seems to be near military bases, stuff like that. So you have to imagine it's either a technology that's there. But I guess what another thing from this take that really blew my mind is they had a drone expert that came out. I think you sent me a video that was on TikTok, a guy that was explaining very in depth. That's his
Yeah.
profession,
Apparently
was
he had
going
some
there.
issues. Yeah.
And, he's saying that, but these things are in the air for 5 to 7 hours
Yeah.
and there's no heat detection, and the government and the technology that apparently we have, they're not being picked up by, they're not being able to see it on anything, they're not shooting them down for whatever reason to try to see what's going on with them.
Because they're ours.
That's what I have to imagine. Like, we're gonna confiscate. And me and you kind of talked
Well,
about this.
that might be
Elon
incorrect,
Musk is
Matt.
pretty quiet on Twitter.
I, I want to come back to the Mustang, but we might be incorrect on that little fact right there about if it wasn't ours, we'd shoot it down. That
Yeah,
balloon made it across the country, bro.
that's true. That's true.
That
I
balloon
forgot.
made
Yeah.
it, and we openly knew it was China.
Mm-hmm.
That balloon made it clear across from Canada to what they got shot down like North Carolina or something weird, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I don't know, man, but I feel like if there was this many, yeah, we probably would have figured it out by now.
yep.
So
And for anybody that doesn't really know drones, we're not drone experts. I don't own one. I mainly because I don't want to go get a pilot license, because if they are over a certain amount of weight, you have to have a FFA regulated license. And this is anywhere in the country, but if they're under a certain amount of weight, you can do it as a hobbyist, whatever. But anybody that knows drones knows that you only have so much flight time. That's why a lot of these
yeah,
people that own drones have 4, 8, 10 different batteries. These are running for 5 to 7 hours, if not longer. And what's even crazier is they're coming from somewhere in the ocean, whether it's some kind of island we don't really know about it, because are they hiding islands and things in the water? Absolutely. Is it coming from a potential ship that has some kind of technology that isn't? That's possible as
from the
well.
PE, dude.
Is it coming right from the ocean itself? We can't say no, but you would have to think it's probably not coming from somewhere in the ocean, but you never know. There's all sorts of reports of things under there and lights under
So
there. And
this goes
I've even
back.
heard ancient civilizations are living in the ocean undetected.
So I had to. I'm pretty sure me and you talked about this before, but I had to recently show this to my wife because she didn't believe me. I said we know more about space than we do about our own oceans.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have explored more of space than we have of our own oceans. Um,
And it makes you, I've always thought, why? Why haven't we dumped this kind of money? Is it because we already know what's under there and we don't want
well,
people to know?
the weird. This goes back. Do you remember that submarine that imploded with the billionaires in it?
Yeah, I think I heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a news thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they they heard it before anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was some sort of research thing going on that has just a shitload of microphones in the water, randomly close enough to be able to hear that explosion. Why do you think they're doing that? What are they listening for down there, Tate?
Yeah, wonder why.
What, they weren't whale researchers.
No,
So
nope.
there's a lot happening underneath the surface of that. There's monsters down there, I'm telling you. Dude.
There is something. I still truly believe that there is some kind of, I don't. You can call them aliens. You can call them whatever. There's got it. I guarantee. I'm not sitting out here saying they're mermaids by any means, but I guarantee you there are some, not people. I don't know what they're. There's something living under there.
I'm
There is.
willing to bet that there is at the very least, an underwater base military.
Yeah,
At the very least. We've been here long
multiple.
enough. We could have built this thing and killed off all the contractors, and
Hmm.
then it's just there now, right?
Could you imagine just being like, "Oh, it's here," and then next thing you know, there's a Bermuda Triangle that there's some, potential. Maybe what's under there? Why are these signals? I granted, maybe we have came up with an answer on that already, and maybe it's a whole other episode, but
You
there's
know what?
something.
You know what else also upset me when I was under the influence last night and listening to this thing?
I would love to know.
In our lives, you and I both have met, are friends with, are associated with some smart people.
Hmm.
There are people out there that make the smart people we know look like idiots. There
Yeah,
are some smart people out there that know words we will never know.
or spell or say. I
They're
can't say
talking about
people's last names.
I to this day, until today, I'm sorry. I did not know cold fusion was like a joke. It was in every movie that we ever watched growing up. I'm like, oh, cold fusion sounds crazy. Never looked into it. That's above my pay grade. Turns out it was laughable until recently. They're calling it something else now. But cold fusion is like something that's not impossible now, as well as anti gravity, apparently.
Or yeah, anti
Yeah,
gravity is a pretty hot topic right now, isn't it?
I man, I want to know a smart person, but like I said, they probably like trains more than people, so I can't talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to get. I want to touch on a couple more of these things before we forget about the history of drones, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know who the? Okay, so we'll go through this quick. Drones really kick up during the Cold War in Vietnam.
Hmm.
That's about the time the U.S. Air Force starts pushing back hard on drones. About hey, they're taking our jobs, that type of thing. Apparently, right now that's a big thing in Europe. Of
Ooh.
the European air forces are pushing back hard, saying we're losing our jobs to drones, or these kids that just fly them from wherever, right?
Yeah, which is
Um,
crazy.
in the 70s, the Soviets finally get into drones, and that's when shit gets weird. The U.S. starts funding Israel's drone production in 1973. Now the world leader of drones is Israel. Did you know that?
I did not
Drone
know
drone
that.
production, drone what's it called? Making them better.
Technology.
Technology, yeah. It's Israel. They're top dogs in the game. Funded by us, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Which, hey, you know what? They got to be on our side at some point, right? If we're funded it.
so well, here's a fun fact. Drone technology was fueled by war until war kind of slowed down a bit. You know what fueled drone technology after that? What
Hmm.
kicked it back up again? Hurricane Katrina.
Ooh.
They needed to be able to get into some weird spots to look for survivors.
Yep.
So they started taking these decommissioned drones and making them available to the everyday consumer. And here we are now. We're now the consumer section of the world is who's really fueling these drone technology, which makes me think this could just be a company, dude.
Yeah.
This could just be a company floating their wares.
And you know what's a good way to desensitize people from technology like this? Giving people the ability to use technology like this. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not war, but oh, look at this. Hey, I'm going to make a social media video of some drone footage. Look at me walking down the street. Look at me doing this. And again, I got 6 batteries. I'm spending thousands of dollars on a drone.
Well,
And let's not, I mean, but to kind of to kind of go back to this, with the wartime, let's not forget about the old Area 51 and all of the declassified CIA documents. There are some stuff that's been leaked that do confirm that there was experimental aircrafts. I mean, look it up. There's the U-2, which again, apparently bands just are obsessed with this. Foo Fighters, U-2,
Yeah.
and the SR-71 that were actually developed there, and could be
UB40.
some
What about UB40?
UB40. That's a band.
But the SR-71. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
What'd they sing?
SR-71.
They always kick me when I'm high. Knock me down till we see eye to eye. Right here, right now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
that was in our time.
Boom. All right. All right.
Also,
I
it was
nailed
the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird technology that came from wherever, tied to Area 51 and drone technology.
Okay. See, but this goes right back to the Philadelphia experiment, right? Philadelphia experiment, want to be invisible. Then we got stealth planes, right? Which is that was that what the Black Hawk SR-71 is?
They were just, like 1950s or whenever it was. They were technology that was Area 51 that could be unmanned technology, and they had long range. They were advanced strategics aircraft that, were supposed to be there, but they were developed during the Cold War. And they're retired, these ones are, but they at the time they set the world record, the SR-71, for absolute speed at 2,193.167 miles per hour.
2,000 miles an hour?
Yep.
Unmanned, right?
That's what I'm trying to see if these were unmanned, because these
There's
were...
zero chance there was a man in that.
Could have been, right?
How many F5, whatever the fuck it is, whatever speed, what Mach 5? How many Machs is that, dude?
Yeah, they were. I mean, Lockheed developed also. I mean, obviously they had the D-21 and stuff like that. They're supersonics drones. They were designed, on an aircraft of the M21, stuff like that. So,
just a little tip from the B-man to anybody listening. Now's the time to toss a few bucks at old Lockheed Martin in the stock market. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the Lockheed D-21 is a Mach 3.3 drone.
What's the most Machs a human can handle?
Let's see. Highest Mach a human has gone is 6.7. William J. Pete Knight in North American X-15 and 67. 4,500 miles per hour.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. How does your organs handle that? Has to take years off your life.
Oh, it has to. Well, that's what the Google said before anybody gets there. But there's other notable speeds achieved by humans, which, okay, it says Mach 9.6 was NASA X-43, but that was an unmanned hypersonic aircraft that hit that speed in 2004. Mach 5, Alan Shepard became the second person to fly hypersonic in 61 when his capsule re-entered the atmosphere at this speed. And then again, here's the SR-71, Mach 3.3, reached high speed unmanned. But then you also have the... Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, you had the crew of Apollo 10 that reached 39,000 kilometers. I wasn't going to do the math on that. Andy Green drove a thrust SSC, a twin turbofan jet-powered car, in 97 to 763.
How fast was the fastest Indian, dude? Oh, Anthony Hopkins.
What's that?
He played this. I forget the character that he played, or he was a real person, based on a real person. Set the land speed record. The movie was called The Fastest Indian. I think the Indian was reference to the motorcycle he was riding.
Right.
I didn't see it. I'll be honest with you.
It was Burt Munro's 1920 Indian Scout motorcycle holds the record. The top speed, it says, again, this is according to Google, 184 miles per hour. The unofficial top speed was 205. Says it was average about 183.
183 on a motorcycle is scary.
183 in general.
Yeah. Okay. At what point What is the purpose of having a manned aircraft in this day and age when we could just do it all remotely,
That's,
especially in war?
I mean, especially like you said, not only, I mean, if we're, this was what, 60 something when we're sending, 50s and 60s when we're sending
Yeah.
stuff that's Mach 3 unmanned. Why, like you said, why put a person even up
Well,
there?
yeah, what we have now is crazy. Yeah.
I guess you have a false, you know what I mean? There, but the technology is so good now. It's not like you're going to throw up there in the wind. You're going to take down a
Right.
fortress. You know what I mean? In the wrong area. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't
I guess
understand the
why do
purpose
we
of
why do
having a
we have
manned aircraft.
man driven cars when they can do it themselves? Maybe there's just something about I want a person and accountability on this plane. I don't know.
And drones nowadays are dropping a payload, right? They're not like flying right into you, right?
Right.
So they're reusable.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
I read that the whole reason that the Ukraine even has a chance right now is because of drones. That's the
Yep.
only reason that they've even been able to stand up at all.
Yep.
Is they have these crazy. Have you watched any of that drone footage from the Ukraine? It's
I've nah.
crazy, dude. It's
I've
crazy.
heard. Yeah, it's
It's like little
scary.
rink. They're like rink-a-dink drones, dude. Like shit you buy at Walmart, and they just attach like some basically a grenade on it. They fly up right to you, face to face, and then bah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I've seen footage of a
crazy.
soldier that was like taking a nap or something, and then like dropped a grenade on the guy, and he
Yeah,
just kind of kicked it off or something. Don't know if it was real or fake or the sources,
there's a
but
lot of footage like that. Like it's
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty wild. Like
yeah.
they're
What else?
taking it's real guerrilla stuff, you know.
It's wild, but but before we get wrapping up and say some stuff, there was some evidence of some stuff with this drone technology that is out there that I thought I would just throw out there to maybe add some credibility to us and our research abilities. But in 2018, there was a declassified Pentagon report that actually revealed that the U.S. military had been experimenting with what we would call swarm drones. Does that seem familiar? And they have been doing this since the 70s. If you start to look into swarm drones since the 70s, and it's decades before we even heard of drones as civilians.
Explain what a swarm drone is.
So, the actual definition of a swarm drone with the military and stuff, whatever it is, it's a group of drones that actually work together with the whole mind of completing a task without human direct control. So, could it be military swarm drones are used for surveillance and attack missions because they're nimble, they're efficient, and they're quickly able to adapt and change conditions. Civilian swarm drones could be used, and they have used them for fighting wildfires, finding missing people, and other things. I mean, even in what is it, China and some countries like that, they do whole drone shows, right, with the airs, with the lights and everything, right? So,
Yeah.
and I mean, and what's crazy, tying back to the pigeons and stuff like that, I do believe that the idea of the swarm drone came from like geese flying in a V in different formations and stuff like that. They kind of saw this.
I was just thinking, I think me and you are thinking in our heads of a larger vehicle when it comes to the government, right? Like they have these giant ones that you see like in the Middle East, right? These giant drones.
No, they're little guys.
The ones in the Middle East?
No, I'm saying like in a lot of
I think
they're
I
not
think if they
huge.
really wanted to surveil us, I just thought about this. We had pictures, at least in my high school science books, of like they had attached cameras onto bees,
Yeah.
like little tiny ones, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they definitely have little robot bees now.
Oh, 100. Well, what about the whole conspiracy theory that birds in general aren't even real? That they've always been.
Write that one down because I need to explore that one because I don't know the whole story on that. I've just heard it as a meme. Write that one down as a possibility. But my thing is that what caused my brain to go there while you were talking, when I was thinking like, man, I have not seen any footage of these drones in Jersey with sound. I guess I think I've just seen like little videos and stuff like while I'm at
Hmm.
work. I have it on mute. Um, are they loud? Because all the drones you hear like
No,
like
they're saying. Remember, we did kind of hint at it. There's no heat. There's no
I know the
really
no heat thing,
sound.
but the no
There's just
sound.
they're not really. And I mean, let's be honest. People are always like, "Oh, it can't be real. Look at the fake foot." I mean, all right, you got a brand new fancy phone, and if you're gonna try to zoom in at night and take
Totally
videos
right.
of this, it's gonna look granular. It's not. Our cell phones aren't made for this. I mean, they're taking very high quality, equipment to try to do this, but they're quick. It's in the air. It's a tough thing to kind of nail down. I mean, it's not going to be an easy thing where you're just going to get a crystal clear. I mean, it's not like people are out there Bigfoot hunting and be able to see it. But there's a whole nother.
Why not just lie to us though?
Yeah.
Instead of saying we're looking into it. What is the U.S. government saying? We haven't even asked that or answered that question. What have they
keep having press conferences and stuff, and I haven't really looked into it either. And we're looking at this. Even on that show the other day with Graves, they're just like I feel like they just kind of said we don't know what it is. Do they really not know, or are they? And I don't know.
It's a
not to sound like the government. I don't know.
It's a cover up for sure because both sides would be throwing lobs at each other if they thought the other one was screwing something up, but neither side is talking shit on the other. They're just
yeah.
It's a bipartisan cover up, sir. Just yeah.
Speaking of that sound, I don't know how many triggered my.
Show that.
Have you heard of the Sakara bird?
No.
I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's a model bird of a sycamore wood that was found in. This is another piece of the evidence that we found, that the archaeologists unearthed ancient artifacts, which is this. It's a 22-year-old artifact from Egypt. And some are saying it's a toy, but other experts are out there saying that this could have been a glider, it could have been a drone, it could have been something. But I mean, this thing is. Here, I'll pull it up here. Let's pull up the Wikipedia here. I mean, this is something, again, 2,200 years old, out of wood. Yes, is it a bird? But there's all sorts of ties to birds, drones, and this was something that it's in a lot of things when you're looking at drones and drone history. This is a potential of something that was interesting to the researchers that I wanted to bring up to somebody's attention.
It's funny to me, like I saw on there like accusations of aerodynamics, yada yada yada, on there, and like if you find that, you don't want to test if it can fly because you risk just slamming it into the ground and it going to 1,000 pieces. So how would you even know? Like you can't test it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You can't.
I'm such a lazy person that if I found that, and like let's just say I'm visiting Egypt and I find that on the ground, I'm such a lazy person. I'd be like, I probably wouldn't even show anybody. I might snap a picture and I'm tired of carrying this. Just toss it to the ground.
Or you're gonna be like, I wonder what, or my brain would be like, I wonder how much this is worth to somebody. I'm gonna sell this shit.
Yeah, see, then you gotta like find a buyer. It's a whole thing. I'm just like, it's easier. My life is easier if I just toss it to the side.
Get rid of it. Yeah, this is somebody else's problems.
Yeah.
But I guess to kind of wrap it up, I mean, we can still probably be like, what does this all mean? It's pretty clear, though, that drones have a history far deeper than Jersey, far potentially even darker, I think, than me and you and anybody listening to this for whatever reason still might realize. Were they truly just developed in the 20th century? Or have they been around, hidden in plain sight for centuries?
We're definitely going to have to, this might be our corporate episode where we go, let's put a pin in this, because I think we're going to be revisiting it.
At some point. And I mean, it's pretty clear. The government has been experimenting with UAVs for a long time. There's proof out there. I mean, we can't say that they haven't been. They have been. But why are they hiding it? Why is it stuff that has to be released and uncovered? What's the other stuff that isn't?
This comes out Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry to worry everybody on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that drone is not Santa. It would be very upsetting to me if, like, let's just say tomorrow, which is a Monday, they released what it was, and I'm like, we were off the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope they don't say.
If they do, then I'll come on there and be like, hey, we did record this episode before. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna post this before. But either way, the purpose of this, I think, in my opinion, is one, we're interested in this stuff. So it gives us an
Yeah.
opportunity to research, to do this. It's intriguing. Let's start some conversation. And again, sometimes are we learning on the fly? Yeah, we put these out in a week at a time. Are we going to come in here with a full entire script and just read? No, that's boring. Let's find some stuff on the fly. And
Yeah.
let's like the birds, the S-71. Do we have some in our notes? Yeah. We're not going to just read from a script. That's boring. Let's learn on the fly, look like idiots, because sometimes when you're researching too, you look dumb. But again, we're just trying to do this together as a group. Maybe we build a community. If not, it's me and Burley. We get to chat about something that's interesting, gets our
Uh-huh.
brains thinking, what the that's
Ooh,
what it's about.
another thing to get our brain thinking. What does TTT stand for now?
Let us know in the comments, because it was, and if Goop comes back, we still are the time traveling trio. Technically, we're traveling back to say the truth. We could do the truth trio.
Talking truth trio. Ra-ta-ta-ta.
Talking the truth. TTT.
Oh, why didn't the button work? Come on, work
Why would it
button.
work? That would have been perfect timing. Talking the truth. We'll be back next week on Triple T. Talking. I wonder how many times we can rename this. It's good we did TTT.
We're at number 3 now. Let's go.
Yeah, baby. All right. Well, either way, hopefully you have a good Christmas. If you don't, that's not our problem. We tried our best to make your Christmas okay by putting out this episode. But yeah, that's all we got. We'll be back next week talking about whatever. And I guess if anybody does want to, send a message on the Instagrams, the Beard Laws or matt@beardlaws.com. If you have an idea or suggestion, we'll dig into it. Our take. And again, we're not scientists, and we don't really want to reach out to scientists. They're going to make us look even more dumb. So that's all we got. Enjoy your holidays. We'll be back next week.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye.